So the Bible tells us that salvation is in no one else alone apart from Jesus. But here's the problem. A lot of us, unfortunately, twist Jesus into something that he never was meant to be and isn't described in the Bible. And I would know I'm just as guilty as anybody for doing this. Today I'm going to give you 3 subtle signs that we maybe have the wrong image of Jesus in our mind, and more importantly, 3 things that we can do today to start untwisting that picture and start living a much more healthy, realistic, accurate life with Jesus. So before we get to those signs and the actionable steps that you can put in place today, I want to give you just a small analogy. Imagine you've got a friend. They go down to the local lake and somebody falls in and they're drowning. Now they don't know what to do, so like on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, they phone a friend. Your phone goes, they give you a call and they say, there's somebody drowning in the water. What do I do? You say to them, mate, what you want to do is you want to throw them a ring. Yeah, throw them a ring, and that'll help. So they reach in the pocket and they pull out a pack of potato hoops and they throw it to the person in the water. Obviously the potato hoop fills with water, sinks to the bottom and does absolutely nothing. So they say to you on the phone, I threw a potato hoop at them and it sank to the bottom of the water. Didn't work. You say, well, no, it's made of plastic and it's big enough for a man to get into. Throw that to them. So they pick up a child's hula hoop and throw it to the person. Sure, it's made of plastic and a man can get his arm through it, but it's got no rope and it's not buoyant enough to stop them drowning. Again, no use whatsoever. Finally, you say to them, no, you want the life ring. It's at the station that says life ring on it. It's a big inflatable device that's enough for a man to get around. It's got a rope on it. You throw that to him and pull him in with the rope. Only that saves. The other things look the part, but only the real thing can save us. And it's the same with Jesus. The world and our hearts hand us something that looks convincing. However, in reality, it's got no power to save us whatsoever. Paul wonders about this in 2 Corinthians. But I'm afraid that as the serpent deceived Eve by his cunning, your thoughts will be led astray from a sincere and pure devotion to Christ. For if someone comes and proclaims another Jesus than the one we proclaimed, or if you receive a different spirit from the one you received, or if you accept a different gospel from the one you accepted, you put up with it readily enough. So the question is, are we trusting the real life ring or a counterfeit? So let's talk about 3 subtle signs of a twisted Jesus and how we can untwist those. First one is going to be when Jesus only ever affirms you, never challenges. I quite like this one. When I was writing my script out, I wrote Jesus is an equal opportunities offender, and he absolutely had harsh words for everybody, including the religious leaders of the day. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! He refers to the Pharisees as of their father, the devil, to their face. And it's not even just his opponents who these harsh words were aimed towards. Think about Peter. Get behind me, Satan, in Mark 8, verse 33. He rebukes James and John for asking him whether they should rain fire down in Luke 9. He turns these harsh words on the masses who were following him when he tells them that, hey, you're only following me because I've fed you, not because of the signs that I've performed. Or in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 7, verse 11, where he says to the crowds, you who are evil know how to give good gifts. So the way to untwist this one is by self-reflection. Consider the image of Jesus that you have in your head and ask yourself, how is he disagreeing with me right now? Maybe the thing to also think is, okay, what behavior is Jesus calling out in the story, and how do I display that behavior in my life? That might be a better way of describing it, actually. So it's just acknowledging that Jesus was countercultural even to his own followers, and acknowledging that if that is the case, there should be things that I do that I can acknowledge and find in my life that is being wrong. And if that isn't the case, that might be one subtle sign that I've got a twisted image of Jesus in my mind. So sign number 2 is that Jesus serves your plans rather than saves your soul. So for this one, we identify what we're praying for and how it lines up with the model that Jesus gives us in the book of Matthew. So it starts like this. Pray then like this: Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So are the things that we're praying for within this 4-part model laid out by Jesus, which is all aimed at the glory of God, expanding the kingdom, getting just the things that we need, and being forgiven for our sinfulness? Or does it fall outside of that? And if it does, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's okay to pray for things that we want. It's encouraged. It's okay. We tell the Lord the things that we want. But is the focus of all of our prayers on ourselves, or is it on the Lord? And if that is what we're doing, we're focusing on ourselves more than others, then basically what we're doing is treating the Lord as some kind of cosmic vending machine. We're putting our prayer in, we're pushing a button, and we're expecting to get the reward out. So the way to untwist this is to come back to first principles as laid out by Jesus in Matthew 7, and to simply place the focus back on the Lord as a first priority. And the third twisting of Jesus is when our belief in him is based more on feelings than on scripture. And I kind of feel about this one like a lot of people that you speak to, often even within the church, have this kind of rose-tinted, like romantic image of what Jesus is like. He's a bit of a mishmash, isn't he, of lots of different worldly things. He kind of fits neatly within the cultural zeitgeist of the moment. He's, a little bit of a hippie, and I just kind of feel like that romanticized version of Jesus is very easy for people to slip into. So that is the third twisting of Jesus. So kind of the way that I like to think about how to untwist this one is just to encourage you to close your eyes and imagine Jesus. Like right now, just close your eyes and imagine Jesus. What does he look like? Is he smiling? Is he happy? Is he encouraging? Is he affirming in his expression towards you? Is he comforting? Maybe he's cheering you along. These are all good parts of his personality, but it's not the whole picture, is it? Is he teaching you, reproving you, correcting you? So to untwist it, you need to get back to the Bible. You need to think about what is the scriptural support for the opinion that I have about what Jesus would do. If you can't find it in the Bible, you might actually have an incorrect version of Jesus. So to a greater or lesser extent, I do feel like we all can be guilty from time to time of twisting Jesus without even realizing. And it's important to realize that the Jesus that we invent in our minds can't save you, but the real one already has. So if this video has blessed you in any way, I'd love it if you would go and click on this video next. It talks about how I thought I was following the real Jesus, but actually I wasn't. I want to say a massive thanks to these kind supporters on Patreon. Until next time, look after yourself. Goodbye.